You're watching our International coming to you live from Moscow. It's 5 p.m. here. I'm Marina Joshi. Welcome to the program. Now, one of Ukraine's industrial tycoons has been implicated in some of the worst recent violence in the country in a series of leaked phone calls posted on YouTube. In one recording, Ігор'Коломойський, who is Ukraine's second richest man and one of the country's biggest power players, is accused of being behind the massacre in Odessa, in which at least 48 people were killed earlier this month. Now, he has a hand in scores of major businesses and controls Ukraine's biggest information agency, plus one of its central TV channels. But it's this phone conversation with opposition figure and former presidential hopeful Олег'Царёв, in which Kolomoisky says there's $1 million reward for the latter's head, that's raising the most eyebrows. Take a listen.
За твою голову тебе дают большие деньги.
За мою?
$1 миллион. За твою, да. Причем сказали, будут искать везде. Ну, просто сказал, что это, я хотел тебе, ты сиди, наверное, в Москве, никуда не езжай.
Well, that exchange became the focal point of a different phone conversation between two Ukrainian businessmen, citing an eyewitness to Kolomoisky actually making that call, and both of the men clearly outraged about the strong message. And as the conversation moved on, it touched upon another alleged revelation about Ігор'Коломойський, placing him as a person who had ordered the recent attack in Odessa, which has claimed the lives of dozens of civilians.
Но он и любит. Он Маркову тут недавно звонил, рассказывал, как его будут в Одессе жечь, если он прилетит. У него развлечения, я не знаю, мне ощущение, что он с ума сошел, честно скажу. Причем полностью подтвержденный фактор, что в Одессе вот этих ребят нанял он полностью. Причем ради того, чтобы установить палец у губернатора. Мне это уже даже в бютовском штабе подтвердили. У них ситуация вышла из-под контроля. Задача была их избить, отмутузить, чтобы их унесли в больницу и полностью уничтожить лагерь.
Well, for more perspective, let's now talk to international affairs expert Mark Sleboda, who joins me now in the studio. Mark, it's always great to have you here with us. Let's now get your perspective on the situation here. I mean, as we see some big money, big businesses are involved in the situation in Ukraine.
Yeah, Ігор'Коломойський is one of the shadiest and most interesting figures right now in Ukrainian politics. He is an Israeli-Ukrainian citizen, supposedly either the second or third richest man in Ukraine, who has made his fortune off of his bank holdings, Privat Bank, finance, metals, and his media empire, which controls a lot of the propaganda that's coming out of the Ukrainian media right at this moment. He was recently placed as essentially a feudal oligarch baron over the territory of Dnipropetrovsk in the southeast of Ukraine, with the intention that he repress the opposition movement against the current regime that has taken control in Kiev. And there's the unspoken assumption, which has proven true, that he would hire his own army of mercenaries to further that alone.
Well, Mark, what's interesting here is that the West keeps pointing the finger of blame at Moscow, but with this information now emerged, do you think this is likely to be a game changer or not?
When we've seen such revelations already of the Estonian foreign minister revealing to Baroness Ashton that he thinks that it was some of the putsch leaders themselves responsible for the killings, some of the other leaks, the Nuland tapes, I don't think that the Western media will even bat an eye at these revelations. Unfortunate it is. They've long ago chosen sides, and a few massacres and involvement of oligarchical figures and corruption is simply not going to challenge the narrative they're spinning in the Western media at this point.
Well, also Russia has repeatedly called for investigation to the Odessa massacre, but this has brought no results so far. Why do you think is Kiev dragging its feet on this one?
Well, of course, Kiev is dragging its feet because there's a lot of implication that either the regime in Kiev is directly involved in what happened, or at least forces on which it depends for power were involved in what may well have been a massacre that should be investigated as an act of genocide occurred there. Kolomoisky's implication in this isn't surprising to anyone. The Ukrainian press has long reported that he is one of the principal financial backers not only of the opposition parties on the Maidan, but also supposedly of the right sector ultranationalist fascist group itself.
Well, today we heard from Russia's foreign ministry that commented on the situation in the Ukraine and saying that the key issue at this point is not the recognition of the self-proclaimed Lugansk and Donetsk regions, but national dialogue. How under these circumstances probable is any dialogue when big money determines the course of events in Ukraine?
Yeah, it doesn't seem that at this point either side is prepared to engage in dialogue. Kiev has said this repeatedly, referring to their protesting citizens in the south and east as terrorists with which they will not speak. And obviously the protesting citizens in the south and east that have self-determined are not going to be able to manage much of a dialogue with a regime that is trying to kill them for voting against it.
Mark Slobodin, international affairs expert, thank you so much for coming to us to the studio and sharing your perspective on the situation.